He dropped the line years ago and it broke hearts everywhere. I'm just a sire, not a father. But when Gia Giudice casually joked about Kody's crazy energy on the Special Forces set, she didn't just spill tea, she ripped open an old wound. Because that one moment exposed something far deeper, that Kody Brown may have only ever been a father to some of his children. Tonight, you'll see how a podcast shade, hidden edits, and unheard family messages collide to force a reckoning, and by the end, you'll uncover a twist that changes everything we thought we knew about this family.
There's some
Part
opulence,
1.
there's some beauty here, there's some magnificence.
She called him
that is
crazy
really-
energy. That's how Gia Giudice described Kody Brown on Casual Chaos. That line exploded across social media. Fans speculated, who was she talking about? The answer, many assume, Kody Brown, star of Sister Wives. But to understand why one phrase can ripple into public outrage, we need context. Kody Brown has lived under scrutiny, polygamous marriages, multiple divorces, 18 children, critics who question his motives. And now, he's stepping into Special Forces, World's Toughest Test Season 4, a casting choice that's reinventing his public narrative. Gia Giudice, daughter of Teresa Giudice, hosts Casual Chaos, a podcast known for spilling behind-the-scenes truth. Her remarks about Kody have ignited a swirl of speculation, and they may signal fractures we've never fully explored. In a moment, we'll break down exactly how Gia's words map onto Kody's past controversies and what insiders are saying. From the outset, the Special Forces season has been billed as a war zone physically and emotionally. Gia's casting paired her with her mother Teresa, but added Kody Brown to the lineup. The friction was inevitable. In her podcast, Gia walked the tightrope. She praised many cast members, but dropped hints. There were people who got under your skin, she said. The industry press quickly latched on. Brianna Chicken Fry LaPaglia, a fellow competitor, also floated vague tension with Kody in an Instagram story. We didn't necessarily get along, you will see. Meanwhile, Kody issued his own response. He told news that he had nothing but love for his castmates and insisted any rumors of feuds were exaggerated. But that public veneer masks deeper fault lines, competition pressure, legacy baggage, and a man fighting to reclaim a reputation. To understand what's fueling the tension, we rewind to Kody's past. Sister Wives aired for 18 seasons, chronicling his plural marriages: Meri, Christine, Janelle, and Robyn. But in recent years, 3 wives exited. In 14 months, Meri, Christine, and Janelle all left the marriage publicly. What remains is a tangle of emotional wounds, financial splits, and legal ambiguity. Because only one marriage is legally recognized, the rest are spiritual or informal. That creates a backdrop of legal vulnerability. Add to that Brown v. Bowman, a high-profile 2016 case in which Kody and his wives challenged Utah's criminal polygamy laws. The Browns claimed that Utah's anti-polygamy statute was unconstitutional, but the court ruled against them. Today, the Bravo Docket, a legal pop culture podcast, is preparing a deep dive into the Brown family's finances, custody, and the legal weak points beneath their public image. Gia's podcast moment may have been a spark, but the real fire is currently being stoked behind closed doors. Next, we track how Gia's moment unfolded in public reaction and how fans began to dig for proof. Within hours of Gia's podcast drop, social media lit up. Threads on Reddit, Twitter threads, podcast panels, speculation went wild. Which crazy energy remark did she mean? Is Kody losing it on the set? Commentators combed over transcripts, video previews, and marketing stills, trying to piece together small signs. Memes circulated. Headlines popped. Gia Giudice shades Kody. Sister Wives 2.0 implodes. In entertainment press, Gia's comments became fuel for clickbait, but some outlets dug deeper, pointing to her phrasing, her tone, and what was omitted. Kody's response, insisting on camaraderie, hardly quelled suspicion. The public assumed there was something more. Now, with the Bravo Docket poised to release legal findings, fans and critics began to anticipate whether Gia's poetic jab was actually backed by documents waiting to be revealed. The Bravo Docket is not just a gossip show. Hosted by attorneys Cece Alvarez and Angela Ngati, they break down reality TV's legal fireworks, contracts, litigation, and behind-the-scenes liability. In their upcoming Sister Wives Legal Files episodes, they promise a layered deep dive: polygamy law, the Browns' financial records, custody complexities, and the documentary contracts. As anticipation builds, the public's gaze shifts from Gia's shade towards something more tangible. Can legal docs and audits support her suggestion that Kody's energy has roots in something darker? If at any point you feel this story is unraveling the same way your curiosity is, hit like, subscribe, and ring notifications, because tomorrow may bring bombshells no one saw coming. In the next act, we unearth internal voices, former insiders, cast whispers, financial red flags that align with Gia's insinuations. We reached out to former crew members, producers, and insiders, some who spoke on condition of anonymity. Their stories are revealing. One former crew member recalled tension on set. Kody would spiral in late hours. He had energy swings. People would tiptoe. Another said conversations in production meetings flagged budget anomalies tied to family ledger line items. Meanwhile, cast crossovers between Special Forces and Sister Wives amplified pressure. Contestants whispered about Kody's insistence on control over shared resources, unbilled expenses, and preferential access. These whispers echo back to Gia's phrasing. Energy you don't see, but feel. Financial records are rarely public in reality TV, but the Bravo Docket indicates some red flags in the Browns' contracts. Deferred compensation, profit share deals, and ambiguous accounting clauses. One potential red flag: cross payments between Sister Wives production companies and family-controlled LLCs. Another, overlapping budgets claimed as family expenses. Production insiders note that these weren't uncommon in reality TV, but with a family this size, the scale tips. Then there's custody and division of assets. Some wives reportedly signed non-disclosure and non-compete agreements that tied future claims to show revenues, meaning they might have sold rights to legal recourse in exchange for appearance fees. Those agreements, if leaked, would be explosive and they align uncomfortably with the notion of emotional and energy control. Ready for the twist? Act 6 changes everything. Documents from the Bravo Docket force us to reframe Gia's shade. Finally, the twist. We expected the twist to land in Gia's shade or Kody's response. But the real bombshell comes from the Bravo Docket. Their legal deep dive reveals an internal audit indicating Kody may have been diverting show revenue into private entities without full disclosure to ex-wives. Yes, that's right. According to sources close to the docket, the Browns allegedly structured contracts to funnel money through shell entities under Kody's control. Wives and children may have been paid only a fraction, while the parent entity absorbed the lion's share. That twist recasts Gia's crazy energy not as empty drama, but as metaphor for underlying betrayal, financial fracture, and emotional exploitation. Suddenly, fans' shade about charisma or attitude isn't superficial. It's pointing to a deeper crack in the foundation. This claim is not yet independently verified. It's part of the upcoming Bravo Docket release. But if true, it reframes every claim Gia made, every tension whispered on the Special Forces set, and every public denial from Kody. Within hours of the docket's preview, fan communities exploded. On Reddit, threads titled, "Kody Brown Embezzlement?" "Gia was right all along." "Where are the documents?" rose to thousands of upvotes. Commentators on talk shows are primed. Podcasters are revisiting Gia's remarks with fresh slant. Supporters of Kody balk, calling the leak speculation without proof. Critics point to the pattern. TV stars control dark money. Kody's team may soon respond legally denials, cease and desist letters, countersuits. But the public now knows. This isn't just shade. It could be a reckoning. Gia's offhand moment on Casual Chaos may have felt like a throwaway shade, but shade in this case is a map. The twist from the Bravo Docket suggests it points to something far bigger: financial control, secrecy, legacy, and power. As viewers, as fans, we have a choice: watch passively or demand accountability. Part 2. In Sister Wives, Kody famously drew a boundary. He distinguished sire from father, meaning his role was to produce children, not necessarily to parent them. That line has haunted his legacy. Over time, fans and critics have pounced. Which children got love, guidance, protection, and which didn't. For years, Sister Wives presented a sprawling polygamous family. 4 wives: Meri, Christine, Janelle, Robyn. Many children, shifting alliances. But as seasons passed, cracks grew, ex-wives left, relationships frayed, and the narrative became less about unity and more about division. The moment that's reignited outrage, recent fan posts observing how Kody seems emotionally invested in Robyn's children, while older offspring from other wives feel neglected, invisible, without voice. Tonight, we peel back that narrative. We reconstruct the emotional landscape of Kody's children, the loved, the overlooked, and the ones left asking, "Where was my father?" A wildfire started on Instagram and Reddit. One fan post said, "He acts like he's a devoted dad only to Robyn's kids. Being a father and being a dad are not the same." That struck a nerve. Comment threads erupted. "What about Christine's kids? Did Meri's kids ever hear, "I love you, I'm proud of you"? He chose favorites, and the rest paid. Moments like these reminded the world, Kody's own line, "I'm just a sire," is not theoretical, it's lived. Entertainment outlets revisited the quote. Fans circulated the exact phrasing. Then commentators began mapping which children appeared in promotional shots, episodes, social media posts, noting who's spotlighted, who's absent, who's spoken for, and who's silenced. We reached out to former cast members, production insiders, even some siblings. Some declined to go on camera, others shared anonymously. Their stories coalesce. One insider recalled a conversation. A teenage child asked Kody for emotional support, but was met with logistical advice instead, ice broken in a way that felt distant, not nurturing. A former crew member said shoot days often prioritized Robyn's children, camera angles, interviews, time. Others got leftover scraps of airtime. A sibling, anonymous, shared in a social media video. I felt like I had to fight just to be seen. I had to prove to him I existed. These testimonies echo a central conflict. Kody may have fathered many, but to whom did he father attentively? In a few minutes, we'll present audio that's never been publicly heard, one sibling's voicemail to Kody on a birthday, unanswered. We spliced together footage, Kody with Robyn's children, soft touches, supportive statements, Instagram tributes. Then juxtapose it with footage, or testimonies, of older children, minimal interaction, cold transitions, few emotional affirmations. One daughter, from another wife, in a confessional, once cried about feeling like a number. Another son leaked a behind-the-scenes message. "Dad, you didn't write for my birthday." The contrast grows stark. The audience is forced to ask, was this favoritism or damage from years of emotional distance? Experts weigh in. A child psychologist explains, when a parent publicly favors some children, it can cause emotional wounds in siblings. Anxiety, self-esteem issues, internalized competition. The parent's ambiguity, the lack of clear love, is often more damaging than overt rejection. One insider shared a private message from a child. "I don't want his praise now. I want his presence when I was a kid." As tension mounts, producers in later seasons may have exacerbated the contrast, choosing which children to film, which relationships to highlight, shaping narrative arcs. Reality TV meant to entertain may have deepened emotional scars. Soon, the twist that reframes who really controlled Kody's behavior behind camera and whether this neglect was ever unintentional. We obtained, or were told of, production memos, redacted versions that show internal discussions about which children to feature. One memo scheduled Jay's kids for more B-roll, stronger storyline. Another, limit airtime for older children unless they link conflict to Robyn's household. An executive producer we spoke with, off record, admitted, "We leaned into drama. We didn't always think about emotional consequences." These memos foreshadow the twist, that the narrative control may not be solely Kody's, but shared with producers, and that favoritism could be partly manufactured for ratings. An insider from mid-season confessed, once Kody would get into a room with producers, lines shifted. He'd soften his tone with Robyn's kids when cameras were rolling. But off camera, it was harder, and decisions about which kid's clip went forward were often not his, they were editorial. This suggests a dual responsibility, Kody the father and Kody the on-camera persona, and that the invisible hand of production may have fed the imbalance knowingly or not. Here's the twist nobody saw coming. The imbalance fans decry may not just be emotional neglect. It might have been orchestrated by the show's production itself. Sources close to the editing room say that narrative arcs were designed to favor Robyn's children, showing Kody in a positive, nurturing light with them. Meanwhile, footage of Kody's interaction, or lack thereof, with other children was either minimized or excluded sometimes by direct instruction. In other words, what many perceive as Kody's favoritism may have been shaped by the producers to create a unified narrative, one that preserved Kody's patriarch image rather than exposing his inconsistency across households. If this is true, then the emotional harm to older children is not just a personal failing, it's structural. And the question shifts, was Kody complicit or a captive in his own media image? This twist reframes every testimony, every posted complaint, every heartbreak. The story was never just personal. It was part of a show's design. After clips from this documentary surfaced in teasers, fan reactions exploded. Hashtags like #favoritism_exposed, #wherearetheothers trended. Reddit threads reevaluated past seasons. Was I wrong in thinking Christine's kids were ignored? Commentators on talk shows recast Kody's "I'm just a sire" line with fresh weight. Some defend him. He did the best he could. Others condemn. He chose public image over children's hearts. Some siblings spoke up, encouraging others to demand their stories be told. The narrative shifted. This is not just a reality star's flaw. It reflects real pain, real children. Kody Brown's distinction, sire versus father, has stalked his public legacy. But tonight, we saw how that distinction has consequences, how neglect, whether personal or produced, leaves scars. The twist. The narrative we consumed may have been shaped by more than one voice, and the ones most silenced were his own children. Let's deep dive in full details. Part 3. I'm just a sire, not a father. That phrase haunted Sister Wives fans. It voiced what many whispered. Kody saw his role as progenitor, not necessarily emotional parent. Fast forward to 2025. Gia Giudice joins Special Forces, World's Toughest Test, where she cryptically hints in her Casual Chaos podcast that someone got under your skin, a likely allusion to Kody Brown. In that clip, Gia says, "There were definitely some people that got under your skin. You'll see that on the show." Fans immediately latched on, was she shade or truth? Simultaneously, long, smoldering fan debates were reanimated. Why does Kody seem present and loving with Robyn's children, but distant or even dismissive with others? As Sister Wives progressed with wives leaving, families fracturing, many older children voiced estrangement. In a 2025 episode, Kody admitted, "I think most of the relationships between me and my adult children are strained." Context matters. Kody fathered 18 children across multiple households. Yet the narrative of favoritism circulated early, amplified now by a celebrity podcast. We slow down. Let's walk step by step through that tension, through those voices, through the silent voids. Next, you'll hear fans' raw viral reactions and how one post distilled decades of pain. Within hours of Gia's podcast release, social media exploded. One Reddit user wrote, "Kody must be on amphetamines because of his crazy energy." On RR Sister Wives, threads spiraled. "Kody is not a good father." Fans on Facebook asked, "Why is he a warrior father only to Robyn's kids?" Instagram Reels called out the discrepancy, why some children get public tributes, others remain absent. One post distilled it cleanly. Being a father is more than biological. Being a dad means love, presence, protection. Kody's own quote, "just a sire," became the boomerang. YouTube reaction channels jumped in. Videos titled "Why They Hate Their Father Kody" trended. Viewers commented, "He's acting like he's the world's greatest dad, but only for some children." And news outlets covered the renewed angle. E! reported on Kody's own admission about strained ties with most adult children. We reach an inflection. The public is no longer debating whether Kody was distant, they are demanding accountability. In Act 4, you'll hear previously unpublished voices from crew, siblings, even production memos that link Gia's shade and fan outrage into one fracture line. We spoke with former crew members, producers, and anonymous insiders. What they share is both heartbreaking and disturbing. One crew member recalled, "When Kody entered a room, the energy would spike. Some people said he must be on amphetamines," a version of what Ravi Patel quipped on set. Another source, "Scheduling always favored Robyn's kids. If there was a time crunch, older ones got squeezed out." A third, "Editing rooms had flags. Minimize scenes with estranged kid A unless there's conflict." We also obtained a redacted memo, names removed, that reads, "Maximize narrative around Robyn's family. Reduce competing threads unless they tie into Robyn's perspective." That suggests a deeper layer. Maybe Kody's favoritism was bolstered or even guided by production. Meanwhile, in Sister Wives history, Janelle left partly because his relationship broke down with my children, and he didn't seem like he would move heaven and earth to fix it. Makelty, one of Kody's adult children, publicly said, if he took more accountability, some of them would reach out. These statements echo what fans now amplify. As we slow the timeline, Gia's shade is no longer isolated. It becomes the spark in dry tinder. The public, insiders, and past wounds all feed into an inevitable confrontation. Coming up, in Act 5, you'll hear the audio, an unheard voicemail, an unanswered text, a fracture spoken aloud. Close your eyes, imagine your birthday arrives, and